calls me, we're talking, it's just, how you doing? I heard about it. And you can almost hear both of us with some tears in our eyes. And I'm choked up because he did call me. And
when I heard about Magic, it's just like I had no energy. I didn't want to, it's the first time I can ever remember not wanting to play basketball. And it had a pit in my stomach for days after. Even after I talked to him, because in my mind, 9 or 10 years, he's going to be gone.
Boston Celtics legend Larry Bird was known for hiding his emotions, even during life's greatest tragedies. At just 18 years old, he lost his father, who died by suicide in French Lick, Indiana. Bird never cried at the funeral or in the weeks that followed, burying the pain so deeply that he later admitted he rarely thought about it. That is why people were stunned when he compared one phone call to the darkest moment of his childhood. Bird said that learning his longtime rival and close friend Magic Johnson had been diagnosed with HIV was one of the most heartbreaking moments of his life, leaving everyone around him speechless.
The day that I heard about Magic, it just sort of changed my love for basketball. It shook me up. You get that feeling, probably the same type of feeling I had with my father.
Larry Bird, one of the NBA's toughest and most emotionally reserved players, once compared a single phone call to the day he lost his father. He made the comparison without hesitation because that was how deeply it affected him. Bird was never known for dramatic words. Throughout his legendary career, he kept his emotions hidden while winning 3 MVP awards, 3 NBA championships, and earning 12 All-Star selections. No one saw him break, not through injuries, painful losses, or the severe back pain that sometimes forced him to lie flat on the floor instead of sitting on the bench. But everything changed on November 7, 1991, when Magic Johnson stepped in front of reporters at the Great Western Forum in Los Angeles and revealed that he had been diagnosed with HIV. At that time, in 1991, an HIV diagnosis was widely seen as a life-changing and devastating announcement that in 1991, an HIV diagnosis was widely viewed as a death sentence. More than 100,000 Americans had already died from the disease, and the only available treatment, AZT, offered limited results. Many doctors believed patients had about 10 years before HIV progressed to AIDS, and once that happened, survival was often estimated at just 1 to 3 more years. Just 17 days after Magic Johnson's announcement, Freddie Mercury would also die from complications related to AIDS. NBA Commissioner David Stern described Magic's retirement as a heartbreaking loss for the league. As the shocking news spread, few people were thinking about basketball. They feared they were witnessing the beginning of the end. At that very moment, Larry Bird was asleep, unaware that he was about to receive a phone call he would never forget. Later, while sharing the story on David Letterman, every detail revealed just how deeply that moment had affected him.
I remember the day we had a game that night. I always took a nap in the afternoon. My wife woke me up and said, "Hey, Lon Rosen called. You need to call Magic." So when I heard that, I couldn't believe it. I mean, I can remember back when my father died, and my heart just sort of, he fluttered a little bit. When I heard about Magic, it's just like I had no energy. I didn't want to, it's the first time I can ever remember not wanting to play basketball. And it had a pit in my stomach for days after. Even after I talked to him, because in my mind, 9 or 10 years, he's going to be gone.
Bird later admitted that, for the first time in his life, he no longer wanted to play basketball. This was the same man who practiced until his fingers bled and battled through severe back pain just to stay on the court. Yet one phone call changed everything. After his wife woke him up with the shocking news, basketball no longer mattered. His only concern was whether his close friend, Magic Johnson, was going to survive. Bird refused to grieve from a distance. He insisted on speaking with Magic immediately. Even when Magic's agent, Lon Rosen, explained that Magic was overwhelmed, Bird wouldn't take no for an answer. He said he had to talk to his friend right away, and Rosen finally connected the call. The conversation that followed became one of the most emotional moments in both men's lives, and decades later, Magic Johnson still becomes emotional whenever he remembers it.
Calls me, we're talking, it's just, how you doing? I heard about it. And you can almost hear both of us with some tears in our eyes. And I'm choked up because he did call me.
Take a moment to understand what Magic Johnson was really saying. His emotions were not simply about the HIV diagnosis, because he had already begun to come to terms with that reality. What truly moved him was the fact that Larry Bird reached out immediately. Out of all the people in his life, teammates, friends, and business partners, the man who had spent 13 years as his greatest rival was the first to call. That act of compassion left a lasting impact on Magic, and he later said it taught him a lesson about friendship and loyalty that he never forgot.
When something happens to you, and then you find out who really your friends are, and people who really care about you. You figure all those battles, all those things we had to go through as warriors, as competitors, and as men. And here this man says, hey, you know what, man, you're okay. And so that was the greatest moment for me, too, to have him check on me and to make sure I was okay.
For Magic Johnson, the greatest moment of his life was not winning 5 NBA championships with the Showtime Lakers. It was not the unforgettable 1979 NCAA championship game, when Michigan State defeated Larry Bird's Indiana State and launched both of their legendary careers. It was not even the 3 NBA Finals where the two rivals battled for basketball's biggest prize. Instead, Magic said the phone call from Larry Bird meant more than any trophy ever could. That moment showed him their rivalry was genuine, but the respect and friendship they shared were even stronger. In another interview, Magic made that message even clearer.
I wanted him to know directly from me and his support along the way, that not just then 20 years ago, but for the last 20 years have been unbelievable. And you find out who your friends are really when something like this happens to you.
Larry Bird called Magic Johnson and, through tears, told him, "I love you." For a man who had spent most of his life hiding his emotions, those words carried incredible weight. This was far more than a basketball story. It became a story about how years of fierce competition created a bond stronger than either man expected. In that moment, championships, MVP awards, and heated rivalries no longer mattered. Facing the possibility of losing a friend made everything else seem insignificant. At the same time, Celtics rookie Rick Fox, who had just joined the team, was searching the practice facility for Bird. He had planned to stay after practice and work on his game with the Celtics legend, but on that day, Bird was nowhere to be found. Rick Fox eventually found Larry Bird in the training room, lying alone on a treatment table with tears in his eyes as he watched Magic Johnson's press conference on television. Fox later said it was the first time he had ever seen Bird's emotional side, because the legendary forward was always calm and unreadable on the court. But behind closed doors, Bird was heartbroken. That same night, he played against the Atlanta Hawks at Boston Garden, scoring 17 points in an unusually difficult performance as the Celtics lost the game. Bird later admitted he had no energy, no motivation, and no competitive fire. For the first time in his career, he felt like he was simply going through the motions because the rivalry that had fueled him for 13 years had suddenly been taken away. Yet there was another part of the story that few people ever discussed. That season was expected to be Larry Bird's final one, as years of injuries had taken a heavy toll on his body. His back had been seriously damaged years earlier while doing hard physical work for his family in French Lick, and the pain only grew worse with time. He appeared in just 45 games, battling through constant discomfort as nerve damage made even simple movements difficult. Even so, Bird refused to quit. He pushed through the physical pain and the emotional weight of Magic Johnson's diagnosis until the 1992 Barcelona Olympics, where he and Magic finally played together as co-captains of a legendary dream team. After spending 13 years as fierce rivals, they stood side by side in the same uniform, representing their country. Bird later called winning Olympic gold together the ultimate experience. Just weeks after the games, he retired from basketball, and Magic Johnson later reflected on their remarkable journey in an interview that perfectly captured what their rivalry had truly become.
The best feeling, David, is when a friend supports you. And this young man came and supported me. That's what it's all about. Forget the sports, forget the championships, the MVP. He came to my side and supported me, and I'll never forget that. And that's the type of man Larry Bird is.
In the end, the championships, MVP awards, and records no longer seem like the most important part of the story. As Magic Johnson himself explained, none of those achievements meant as much as a single phone call from a true friend. That moment carried such powerful meaning because of everything the two men had shared over the years. They were more than fierce competitors, they constantly challenged each other to become better. Their legendary rivalry pushed both of them to new heights, and Magic later admitted that the bond they built through those battles became far greater than anyone could have imagined.
No, he did. He did. He had me because I was scared to death that I knew he could beat me.
Right.
And so that's what a great player does to you.
Magic Johnson later admitted that he was genuinely afraid of facing Larry Bird. Despite winning 5 NBA championships, earning 3 MVP awards, and becoming one of the most electrifying players in basketball history, Bird was the opponent who kept him awake at night. The fierce competitor from French Lick demanded his complete focus every time they met. Yet the feeling was mutual. Larry Bird respected Magic just as much and knew he had to be at his very best whenever they faced each other, making their rivalry one of the greatest and most evenly matched in sports history.
You know, I used to have this thing in my head in the summer. I go shoot 700 jump shots that day, and I get ready to leave, and I go, God, I know he's shooting 800. And it dropped me back out there.
700 shots in a workout still didn't feel like enough for Larry Bird because he imagined Magic Johnson somewhere in Los Angeles taking 800. That single thought was enough to push Bird back onto the court under the hot Indiana sun. It wasn't a coach, a contract, or outside pressure driving him. It was the belief that his greatest rival might be working harder than him. That level of determination went beyond normal competition. It became a personal mission to be better. And that is exactly why the phone call between them meant so much. After pushing each other to their absolute limits for years, Bird and Magic became more than rivals. They became the only two people who truly understood the pressure, sacrifice, and greatness the other had experienced. They didn't just change basketball with their talent, they transformed the NBA by bringing it back into the spotlight. Their finals battles turned into must-watch events and helped make the league one of the biggest stages in American sports. Larry Bird and Magic Johnson did more than dominate basketball. They helped transform the NBA from a struggling league into a worldwide phenomenon. Their rivalry brought millions of fans closer to the game and changed the future of professional basketball forever. But when Magic Johnson faced the darkest moment of his life, the first person he wanted to hear from was the same man who had challenged him more than anyone else, Larry Bird. Decades later, Magic has continued to inspire people around the world, proving wrong the predictions made after his 1991 diagnosis. Through all the success, challenges, and changes in life, Bird has remained one of the most meaningful people in his journey. What they built was never just about basketball. It was a connection formed through competition, respect, and a level of understanding that few athletes have ever shared. Their story shows that the greatest rivalries are not always about defeating each other. They can also create the deepest bonds. If this story changed the way you look at Larry Bird and Magic Johnson, share your thoughts. And if you believe another sports rivalry comes close to what these two legends created, let us know. For more unforgettable stories from the world of basketball, stay connected.